Hi, today I'd like to talk about de-escalation and escalation and how I view these concepts when it comes to handling stress. No, before you go and try to adjust the tint or the color on your monitor, it's not you, it's me. I know, one of the most annoying things to hear in a relationship, but it's not you, it's me. And yes, I am using that excuse. My head is as red as the brick wall because I forgot sunscreen when climbing to about 8,000 feet in a mountain in California. Yes, I'm an idiot. You can lambast me in the comments for it. I already know I'm an idiot. I have the red face to show for it. So, moving on. Going into the topic of stress and dealing with stressful situations, I find that people very often enter this feedback loop in their head when they're in a stressful situation. The feedback loop will go something like this. I need this to work by 12. Oh, but I need this to work by 12. Does this do it? Oh, God, I need this to work by 12. Does this do it when I plug it in here? No, it needs to work by 12. Oh, my God. Where people will, even if it's not an outward emotion, even if you're not acting it out, where people can obviously see it, this very often is going on inside somebody's head when they have a deadline and they have something they need to reach and they realize that there is a possibility that they will not reach it. And I feel that the reason this deadline exists is because we as a society are discouraged from expressing that we are about to fail. If we are going on a date, we don't want our date or our girlfriend to believe that there is a chance that the evening will end in failure or no fun. We don't want our students to believe that a lesson plan is going to end in them not learning. We don't want our bosses to believe that a project is going to end with us not achieving the stated goal of the project, even though we're being paid for it. So the way we deal with this, I find, is to come up with these really overconfident statements of, I will make it work. This will be a great evening. This will be a great class. And we give ourselves only one option. And the problem I find when we give ourselves only one acceptable option is that when we give ourselves only one acceptable option, we make it really easy to get into this terrible high-stress condition where we have this feedback loop going in our head that gets worse and worse, louder and louder, more and more stress, more and more anxiety, more and more irrationality stemming from that anxiety, more and more anger stemming from that irrationality and anxiety. And it just doesn't allow us to get anything done or be productive. So the way that I will usually deal with that is I will acknowledge that there are two paths. Even if I don't acknowledge that there are two paths to the boss, to the girlfriend, to the student, to the employee, or whatever it is I'm dealing with, even if I don't acknowledge that I see failure as a path to them, that's fine. I will acknowledge it within my own head. At the very least, if you are going to lie to the world, don't lie to yourself. You can lie to everybody else, but for the fuck's sake, do not lie to the person in here. So I would do something like this. Let's say that I am an IT manager or senior IT staff at some company that has 5,000 people, and they are coming in at 12 o'clock to do something. And at 10 o'clock, the server is down. I've been messing with it for a half hour, and it's 10:30. I'm like, oh my God, the server is down. I need to figure out, does this work? No, God, it doesn't work. I need this to work by 12. Oh man, this command won't let me run this patch. Oh my God, it doesn't work. I need this to work by 12. Instead of doing that, I will do something like this. This needs to work by 12. If it doesn't work by 12, 5,000 employees are going to show up and have nothing to do. I need this to work by 12. However, if it works by 12, the 5,000 employees will be able to do their job. If I cannot get the server up by 12, then I will tell the CEO that he needs to figure out what to do with these 5,000 employees because I have no server for them to work on. So by creating two distinct paths, I now have the freedom to fail. I have the freedom to, it's not an absolute. It's not, I need this to work by 12. Because as long as I believe the end of the world is coming, if this doesn't work by 12, as long as I create the absolute in my head that this needs to work by 12, well, now I've just created this doomsday scenario if that doesn't happen. And doomsday scenarios create anxiety, create stress, create anger, create irritability, create irrationality. And when you're irrational, you cannot solve a problem. So now that I've accepted that if I cannot get it to work by 12, this is what I'll do, even if that leads to me getting fired, even if that leads to me getting kicked out, even if that leads to the ruining of my professional reputation. Once I have accepted that that is an option, that I will not, I am not going to be sent to hell itself and have fiery pitchforks shoved up my ass because I take that option. As long as I accept that that is an option, I am now free. And once I'm free of this terrible escalation in my head, this little feedback loop where I'm just going, more anxiety, more anxiety, more anxiety, I can actually do my job without fear. I can look and go, wait a second. I missed that in the log file. Oh, that's an error that I'm used to. This is what I have to do to fix that. I am now free to do my job. I am free and rational and level-headed so that I can actually be productive as a result of acknowledging failure. So even though we are in this society where you're not allowed to talk about failure, where you're not allowed to admit that you're going to fail, if you do that in your own head, you have a better chance of being successful than you do if you're just escalating and escalating and escalating. I mean, another example of this, just in my personal life, just from last week before I left from vacation. I couldn't find my phone. I was late to go into the airport. I couldn't find my phone or my headphones. I have all the books that I want to read at work. I had a 7-hour-long flight that I was going to be bored out of my goddamn mind from, with nothing to do if I couldn't find my phone. Because I had my books, some books on my phone. I had some radio shows on my phone I wanted to listen to. It would have been a really shitty flight. And I was far too late to stop by at any, I was far too close to my flight to stop by a bookstore of any kind, if any of them are even going to be open at 4:30 in the morning, or any electronic store where I can grab something to do. And I kept telling myself, I need to find this, I need to find this, I need to find this, I need to find this. You know what happened? Never found the phone. But as soon as I said, if I find this phone, then I will have something to do on my 7-hour flight and my wait time when I get off of it. And if I don't find it, then I have the option to not go on vacation, which is silly, or B, pray that there's something to do on the plane for the 7-hour flight. And as soon as I did that, 3 minutes later, I found my phone because I looked and I found it where my cat always takes it and always hides it. And the reason I wasn't able to remember that spot that this little mofo on my lap always takes my shit and hides it to is because I was stuck in that escalating feedback loop of anxiety, stress, and misery in my head. And once you exit that feedback loop, you will find that you are able to rationally assess a situation. And even if you are in the shittiest of situations, the worst of situations, that situation can only be made worse when you take rationality and logical thought out of it. Once you're able to sit down in a calm manner and fix the problem at hand, that is a better state of mind than being stressed out of your mind because of an imposed absolute deadline. Another example that I find a lot of people run into, just basic dating. Let's say you have in your head, I'm going to ask this person out, and I have to say the right thing. I need to make them like me. I have to make them like me. This has been my crush for 2 years. I need to make them like me. I need to say the right thing. If you do that, you're going to walk up to them. You're going to be stuttering and shivering and being awkward and laughing at shit that's not funny and not be genuine. And you're just going to be a total, what's the word I'm thinking of? You're just going to be a total pushover, and nobody's going to be interested in you. However, if you tell yourself, I'm going to walk up to this person, start a conversation, and ask them out. If they say yes, we will go out and enjoy ourselves. If they say no, I will go get a burrito and forget they exist and find the next one. What you've done there is you've created an out. Now, does that mean that you're going into the situation looking to fail? No. But does that take the burden off your shoulders of that infinite escalation, that feedback loop in your head that causes you to act irrationally and in a non-genuine fashion? Yes, it does. And this is good for you. This is healthy. This will make you a better person. Even basic crap at work. I guess I'll use a basic example and a more serious example. The more basic example, as I've said in other videos, I did this video about 2.5 years ago on how I schedule my time to be as productive as I can. I think this was sometime in February or March of 2014. But I like to structure my day in these 15 to 30-minute increments. And let's say I'm at work and I have 10 boards to repair for 10 very not patient customers, and I need to get each of them done in a half hour. And I'm at the 28-minute mark on one of those boards. I have like 4 or 5 hours left in my day. I know that I need to be done with this before I move on to the next one. If I get myself into this loop, if I need to fix this or they're going to call, I need to fix this or they're going to file a chargeback, I need to fix this or they can leave a 1-star review, I need to fix this, then I'm going to do stupid shit. I'm not going to measure. I'm not going to look at what's in front of me. I'm going to re-hot CPU bro, as the people in Jess's iPad Rehab's comments do. I'm going to make bad decisions. I'm going to use please bro solutions rather than actually assess the problem in front of me. And I will probably render a fixable board unfixable and fail. However, if I say something along the lines of, if I fix it in the next 2 minutes, it is fixed. If I don't fix it in the next 2 minutes, it will go back in the slot and come back to me tomorrow. Then, at the very least, I free myself for rational thought. And I also don't get myself into this mess where I screw over the other 9 customers in the queue just because I'm obsessed with this one board. A more serious example of that from work that I can use is one from about 5 or 6 years ago. This is actually 6 years ago. This is around Thanksgiving in 2011. Probably one of my worst holidays of all time. It was when I realized that my website was not taking people's money. I had somebody upgrade me from one version of Magento to another, and it's funny. I've updated Magento many times myself over the past few years. I've never had all of my settings change for no reason. But this one time, it changed authorize and capture to authorize, and no one ever told me. So I didn't realize that my site was refunding people's money 7 to 15 days later until about $30,000 worth of gross sales from several big orders just went poof, gone. And I remember realizing that that was happening on Thanksgiving Day while we were preparing food, while we were celebrating. And I was trying to just figure out a system. Firstly, I wanted to just not break down and scream, break things, cry, whatever, in front of a room full of people. As you can imagine would happen if you're not in a position to lose $30,000, and you just did. But also, I was trying to come up with a system for myself of how I'm going to figure out who this happened to, how I'm going to figure out the amounts, how I'm going to send them a letter, how I'm going to actually convince them that they should pay me now that they've gotten their shit for free. I went through this entire thing in my head. And I was up until about 3 or 4 in the morning that night, no sleep, just trying to put together a spreadsheet system of how I was going to talk to all these people, how I was going to send them an email. Hi, you don't know me. This is what you bought. This is the date you got it. This is the PayPal transaction ID. As you can see, this amount of whatever money was returned to you. This is the tracking number that shows you received this. This is your order number. Would you want to pay for it using this link here? And the next day, I would say for about 5 to 10 hours, I had myself, BlackBerry, stop screwing with my refrigerator magnets, girl. Stop screwing with the magnet. Kitty. Kitty. And I had myself in this infinite feedback loop, and this infinite feedback loop was just, it was something along the lines of, how do I put this? I need to fix Control-Z or undo this, or it's the end of the world. I need to undo this, or it's the end of the world. And at some point, I told myself, if I can fix this problem, then things will be better for me. If I cannot fix this problem, that means for the next 2 years, I will have to work a lot harder and lesson learned. And as soon as I did that, I was free to finish that entire sheet. And once I finished that entire sheet, I was able to recover about $21,000 of the $30,000. Which again is not great. It's 2/3. It really, really does point out that if you give X amount of people the opportunity to screw you, that about 33% of those people will happily take that opportunity to screw you. It wasn't exactly the greatest moment in my realizing what human nature really is, but for the most part, I was able to actually recover that $21,000. I would have never been able to get anything done if I wasn't able to get out of that feedback loop in my head. And when I got out of that feedback loop in my head, as soon as I stepped out of it, as soon as I realized, I admit at this point that because of this stupid, idiotic, jackass error of outsourcing, updating this fucking website to these set of jackasses, that I lost $30,000. As soon as I realized that dumbass error on my part may very well cost me 2 years of additional work and 2 years of my life, as soon as I was able to accept that may be a possibility, it allowed me to enter a rational state that allowed me to make back a lot of what I had lost. And this is a really important way of looking at stress, because if you don't look at stress in this manner of de-escalation, you're never going to be able to enter the rational state that you need to be in order to solve the problems that are in front of you in your own life, at least in my opinion. I do hope that this video helps some people that manage to get themselves into these incredibly unhealthy feedback loops in their head when faced with stressful situations, whether it's personal life, whether you're asking out a girl, whether you're dealing with work, whether you're dealing with bosses, whether you're dealing with students. Just always allow yourself the option of failure in your head. It doesn't mean that you have to tell everybody that you're going to fail. It doesn't mean you have to advertise that you suck. All it means is that you're honest and realistic with yourself so that you can then enter a state where you're able to actually be productive. That's it for today, and as always, Blackberry over there hopes that you learned something. Come here, girl. Who's my good kitty? Good girl, good girl. Good girl. Don't screw up my refrigerator magnets. I love those things. Who's a good kitty? Oh, that's a good kitty. Pah, you shed so much. But you're adorable. Mwah. All right. Good night.